Welcome to Life Lessons from the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are into the final chapter of the 10th Canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. That is a very exciting achievement for regular participants of Life Lessons from the Srimad Bhagavatam. We're not going to complete that chapter today, so it's chapter 90. It is the canto. 10th canto is the canto with the largest number of chapters. And we're not going to we won't complete it today, but we are near to the end. So that's very, very special. In one sense, it's sad to finish the 10th canto. In another sense, it's a great achievement for all of us. So I'm going to chant some verses of invocation as I wait for our participants to join. I'm loving these verses. This is from the first canto, chapter 3, text 40. Idham Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Stvasthyaya Namahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God, and it is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Verse 41 from the third chapter of the first canto. Tad idam grahayam asa sutam atmatvatam varam sarva vedita hasanam sharam sharam samudritam. Srila Vyasadeva delivered it to his son, who is the most respected among the self-realized, after extracting the cream of all Vedic literatures and histories of the universe. Text 42. Satu samshravayamasa maharajam parikshitam prayopavishtam gangayam paritam paramarshibi. Sukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, in his turn delivered the Bhagavatam to the great emperor Parikshit, who sat surrounded by sages on the bank of the Ganges, awaiting death without taking food or drink. This will be the last verse I chant. In the meantime, if you have any comments, questions, reflections, you just want to say hello, do so in the chat. Verse 43. Krishne swadharma pagate dharma janadi bisaha kalo nastadrisham esha puranarko danodita. This Bhagavata Purana is as brilliant as the sun. It has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. I think we are ready to get going. So we see Shama Manjari is with us from South Africa. Shama Manjari says, Hare Krishna, Shri Prahlad Prabhuji, sending gratitude and obeisances. We have Kirtida with us from Norway. Kirtida says, Pranams. We have Monica Sharma with us from Sydney, Australia. Monica says, Hare Krishna Prabhu, joining from Toronto. So I said Australia. Monica lives in Australia, but is currently traveling and is tuning in from Toronto. Wonderful. Thanks for joining us. Thank you all. On Insta, we have some friends logging in live. We have Eknoria Dave 446. We have Harsha, Harisha, Chari Vadla. We have Shrikar Music. Shrikar joining us from New York. Welcome, Shrikar. Alana Pasteur is with us. Dragbolt, Santosh. Bhargava Tom is a regular participant here. Bhargava says, Haribol Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Prabhupada. Bhargava, let me know where you're logging in from, because you're here every class and I want to just know you a little bit better. Bhargava. Let's see. Nehamarnani, and we have Yashashini, and Vinit Vini, and Meandering Maripos, Govinda Nishadraj, Herman Canales, Arca 5H, Digvijay Gunjaria. All of you are most welcome. Thank you for joining. What we're doing here is we're discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. This is a class that happens every week, twice a week, on Mondays and Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is Eastern Standard Time in the United States. And today we are discussing the 90th chapter of the 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the final chapter of the 10th canto. It is called Mahishi Gita. So a very special section of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Who are the Mahishis? So you can type your answer in the chat. Who are the Mahishis? Bhagavatams in Philadelphia. Thanks for that. The Mahishis are... Anybody? I know Insta's on a little bit of a delay. So the Mahishis are the queens of Dvaraka. And in this 90th chapter of the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, we have a song sung by the Mahishis, sung by Krishna's queens. So let's explore this. That's what we're going to focus on today, exploring this song. And we'll find that it is full of love in separation. This is called prema-bhakti. Recently, maybe 6 months ago, a devotee scholar was writing an article on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and there's a wonderful section in the end of Rai Ramananda Sambad. That's Lord Chaitanya's conversation with Ramananda Rai. Ramananda Rai talks about Lord Chaitanya as the embodiment of prema vaichitya, or this love in separation, or a love when there is, even in the presence of the Lord, even in Krishna's presence, the devotee feels separation from him. And Lord Chaitanya, he is Krishna himself, and he's in the mood of Sri Radha, feeling separation from himself. And so Ramananda Rai, he's glorifying Lord Chaitanya like this. So this devotee scholar, he contacted me and some others and said, what is this prema vilasa vaichitya or prema vaichitya? What is it exactly? And we found some different references. I'm very happy today in reading again this Mahishi Gita. I find commentaries from our acharyas describing it as an example of prema vaichitya, this very advanced stage of love of God. So I'm going to contact my friend, devotee scholar, to let him know as well. Welcome Ananda Kirtan, joining us from Sydney, Australia. Nikunja with us from Auckland, New Zealand. Shaipun says Jai Radha. Ananda says Hare Krishna. Nikunja says Hare Krishna. Thank you for being here. So let's get started. We're going to discuss this chapter, or this section, verses 1 to 28, the Mahishi Gita, under 3 sections. So let's begin by an invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. First section, verses 1 to 14. Loving relations would describe Krishna's activities, pastimes with the queens. Verses 15 to 24 is the actual Mahishi Gita, the song of the queens. And then the last section will be verses 24 to 28, supreme perfection. So let's dive in, beginning with loving relations, verses 1 to 14. Sukadeva Goswami, he says, Krishna, who is also known as Madhava, Madhava means husband of the goddess of fortune, lived happily in Dvaraka. He said this is a city filled with opulences. He describes how the women of Dvaraka, they would play on the rooftops with balls and toys, and they shone like lightning. He says that the streets of the city were crowded with intoxicated elephants, richly adorned cavalry, soldiers, that's infantrymen, and gold-decorated chariots. There were gardens and parks with flowering trees, and the trees had flowers that were so aromatic they attracted birds. There were also fruits in those trees. The flowers attracted bees. There were also fruits that attracted birds, and those birds filled the air with their songs. Sukadeva Goswami says that Krishna would play in the water with his queens, while Gandharvas sang his praises, playing mridangas and anaka drums, and there were other musicians playing veenas and reciting poems. Krishna and the queens, they laughed and they squirted one another with syringes filled with water, and the queens' wet clothing revealed their forms as they embraced Krishna, their flowers scattered about, their faces beamed with smiles, and they shone with beauty. Krishna's garlands became crushed from embracing the gopis. The gopis' hair, Krishna's hair became disheveled. Krishna was like a king of elephants among she-elephants. And Krishna and his queens, they felt gratitude towards the musicians and other performers, and they gave their clothing and ornaments to those performers as a dakshina, as a bakshish. Krishna captivated the queen's hearts with his gestures and talks and glances and smiles and jokes, and the queens were absorbed in Krishna alone, and they would become stunned in ecstasy and speak as if like mad people. And Sukadeva Goswami says, now I will tell you some of the things that they would say. And he's going to give us this Mahishi Gita. But we can pause first just to reflect. This description is very opulent. It's describing the spiritual enjoyment and pleasure found in Krishna's pastimes. It presents Krishna, God, not as some distant figure isolated in a cloud, but but as a person engaged in loving pastimes with his dear devotees. These are pastimes of joy, they're intimate, and so by appreciating, understanding, embracing this personal understanding or concept of Godhead, we can also aspire to cultivate a personal loving relationship with Krishna. And as we aspire to develop this personal relationship with Krishna, we should also remember to be personal and kind and affectionate and compassionate in our dealings with each other as well, as Krishna's devotees, as Krishna's parts and parcels. Sometimes there is a criticism that devotees of Krishna have the most personal philosophy, but sometimes they're impersonal in their dealings with one another. So that is not recommended. We must have personal philosophy and personal practice as well. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he also comments on this section. He is our great Acharya, commentator on the Srimad Bhagavatam, and he says that the apparent manifestation of madness that Sukadeva Goswami references, he says the gopis, these queens spoke as if insane. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments on that. He says this apparent insanity was in fact a manifestation of pure love of Godhead called prema-bhakti. And he quotes Rupa Goswami's Ujjvala Nilamani, where Rupa Goswami says, Priyasya sanikaryashe pi premot karsha svabhavata ya vishlesha. Ya vishlesha diyartis tat prema vaichityam uchyate. When, as a natural byproduct of one's extreme love, One feels the distress of separation, even in the direct presence of the beloved. This is called prema-bhakti. So this is a very high state of love. It finds its highest expression, embodiment, in Srimati Radharani, and then in the incarnation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, in the mood of his devotee, experiencing separation from himself. So I'm sure by now we are all very eager to hear the song. What did these queens sing? What did they say in their madness of ecstatic love? So there are 10 verses, and they're rich with metaphor, and they're very, very beautiful. So these are the 10 verses of the Mahishi Gita in English. I won't try to sing the Sanskrit for you. The queen said, "O Kurari bird, you are lamenting. Now it is night, and somewhere in this world, the Supreme Lord is asleep in a hidden place. But you are wide awake, O friend, unable to fall asleep. Is it that, like us, you have had your heart pierced to the core by the lotus-eyed Lord's munificent, playful, smiling glances?" So we see the queens are experiencing insomnia. They're not able to sleep. They're thinking of Krishna, and they can't sleep. Sometimes when we have some anxiety or some concern, it keeps us awake at night. What keeps the queens up at night? They're thinking of Krishna. And then they're finding empathy, or they're finding pathos in other birds. Here, a Kurari bird, but not only in nature. Let's see. Verse 2. Poor Chakravaki, even after closing your eyes, you continue to cry pitifully through the night for an unseen mate. Or is it that, like us, you have become the servant of Achyuta and hanker to wear in your braided hair the garland he has blessed with the touch of his feet? So they've addressed two birds. Now they will turn to nature. Dear ocean, you are, remember, Dvaraka is an island in the ocean, so they have the ocean around them, and so now they turn their attention to address the ocean. Dear ocean, you are always roaring, not sleeping at night. Are you suffering insomnia? Or is it that, as with us, Mukunda has taken your insignias and you are hopeless of retrieving them? And now the moon. My dear moon, having contracted a severe case of tuberculosis, you have become so emaciated that you fail to dispel the darkness with your rays. Or is it that you appear dumbstruck because, like us, you cannot remember the encouraging promises Mukunda once made to you? So the moon has its phases, right? Waxing and waning. So here they are addressing a moon that has waned, that has become very small. And so they say to this moon, have you contracted some disease? You look very emaciated. Or is it that you are missing Krishna, that he made some promise to you? Like the promises he made to the gopis as Akrura was taking them out of Vrindavan, Krishna, he turned to the gopis and he gestured to them and he gave them the indication. The message was, I will return. And so the queens are saying, has Mukunda made some encouraging promise to you that's keeping you awake? Now they address the breeze. O Malayan breeze, what have we done to displease you so that you stir up lust in our hearts, which have already been shattered by Govinda's sidelong glances? They're blaming the breeze for the feelings that they have in their hearts for Krishna. They turn to the cloud. O revered cloud, You are indeed very dear to the chief of the Yadavas, who bears the mark of Srivatsa. Like us, you are bound to him by love and are meditating upon him. Your heart is distraught with great eagerness, as our hearts are. And as you remember him again and again, you shed torrents of tears. Association with Krishna brings such misery. Wonderful. So, excuse me here. So the clouds appears, they, according to these queens, are very dear to Krishna. There is some affinity between Krishna and the clouds. We can say they have a similar color. Krishna is described as being blackish blue, like the color of a rain cloud. And in the Gopis song, the Venu Gita, they describe how the clouds, they have affection for Krishna, and they go like an umbrella over him, protecting him from the sun, or sometimes they sprinkle him with a light shower to cool him down. And so here these queens, they're saying that they're seeing the rain as the cloud crying in separation from Krishna. Next time it rains, you might think about that. Oh, cloud, are you feeling sadness and separation from Krishna? Like when you see the moon that has become very shrunk small, the waning moon, you say, are you feeling separation from Krishna? They turn now back to the birds. O sweet-throated cuckoo, in a voice that could revive the dead, you are vibrating the same sounds we once heard from our beloved, the most pleasing of speakers. Please tell us what we can do today to please you. Wonderful. The cuckoo's birds' sweet song reminds them of Krishna's pleasing words. And now the mountain. O magnanimous mountain, you neither move nor speak. You must be pondering some matter of great importance. Or do you, like us, desire to hold on your chest the feet of Vasudeva's darling son? O rivers, wives of the ocean, your pools are now dried up. Alas, you have shriveled to nothing, and your wealth of lotuses has vanished. Are you then like us, who are withering away because of not receiving the affectionate glance of our husband, the Lord of Madhu, who has cheated our hearts? So that's 9 verses. Now verse 10. This is the last verse. They see a swan flying through the sky, or maybe they hear a swan in the distance, and so they speak to the swan. Welcome, swan. Please sit here and drink some milk. Give us some news of the descendant of Sura, dear one. We know you are his messenger. Is that invincible Lord doing well? Or does that unreliable friend of ours still remember the words he spoke to us long ago? And does that unreliable friend of ours still remember the words he spoke to us long ago? Why should we go to him? O servant of a petty master, go tell him who fulfills our desires to come here without the goddess of fortune. Is she the only woman exclusively devoted to him? This is a rhetorical question. The answer is no. We are also devoted to him. So he must come to us without her, without Lakshmi ji. So here they are taking the swan to be a messenger. And this is found elsewhere in Sanskrit literature, where a beloved will speak to a swan as a messenger to their beloved. There's a famous book written by Rupa Goswami called Hamsaduta, the Swan Messenger, where I think Lalita is speaking to a swan, or is it Shri Radha speaking to the swan and telling the swan her heart's desire that the song should convey to Krishna. Otherwise, this is also similar to the Brahma Gita, where Radharani sees a bee and takes the bee to be a messenger from Krishna. In that song, then she demonstrates 10 different types of divine madness in the way she speaks to that bee. So that's considered more intense than this song, but this song of the Dvaraka Mahishis is also very wonderful. So let's just reflect on this song a little. Some of the beauty that we're seeing here. There's the queens are lamenting, and they're directing or projecting their lamentation on different natural elements. And Vishwanath again is emphasizing that Krishna is right there with them. It's not that Krishna is away somewhere. He's there with them in Dwarka. But their love for him has become so intense that they miss him. They love him so much that even in his presence, they feel his separation. And so they're directing their lamentation towards birds and the ocean and the moon and the breeze and clouds and animals and so on, comparing their feelings of separation from Krishna to the visible or perceived suffering in nature, the ocean's roar, or the waning moon, or the coolness in the breeze, or the rain in the clouds. We get a feeling, a sense of the Queen's emotions as they use these different metaphors, or as they speak, they address different aspects of nature. The Kurari birds' sleeplessness, they take as a parallel to their own restlessness and insomnia. And so that's also a very interesting idea of that we can also think about spiritual yearning and insomnia. This idea of sleepless nights and constant yearning can suggest a type of spiritual insomnia where the soul becomes restless, constantly thinking and seeking reunion with Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he would stay up all night crying, Ha Krishna, Kaha Krishna, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? And so he spent sleepless nights lamenting and pining for Krishna in this way. And that's a stage that's much beyond us. But the idea of the soul becoming restless and yearning for reunion with Krishna, becoming insomniac in yearning for Krishna, is one that we can reflect upon. And then, of course, this there's this personification. The natural elements and creatures that the gopis address are personified. There's this pathos of showing the elements of nature as fellow sufferers and confidence in the queen's grief. This is elevated, but it's also a way for us to think about or remember Krishna in the world, in nature. Seeing the moon, seeing the clouds and the rain, seeing the birds and hearing their calls, and let those be for us reminders of Krishna and of the love for Krishna that the devotee feels and that we are seeking to cultivate. So overall, this song shows the conversation of the queens with nature, and it shows a very profound level of consciousness where these queens, feeling separation in Krishna's presence, are seeing him in all aspects of nature and of existence and of life itself. And there's much that we can take from this. Let's go then to the final section, verses 24 to 28. And this is Sukadeva Goswami's conclusion to the section. Sukadeva Goswami said, by thus speaking and acting with such ecstatic love for Krishna, the master of all mystics, the master of all masters of mystic yoga, the queens attained the ultimate goal of life. The Sanskrit here is param gatim. Param, supreme, gatim, goal or destination. Krishna, whom countless songs glorify in countless ways, forcibly attracts the minds of all who simply hear about him. What then to speak of those queens who saw him directly? And how can one possibly describe the greatness of these queens, the austerities performed by these women who perfectly served him, the master of the universe, in pure ecstatic love? Thinking of him as their husband, they rendered such intimate services as massaging his feet and so on. So that ends this section. We can reflect further. Specifically, verse 25, I find interesting. It says that the queens attained the supreme destination. And I find it a little puzzling because aren't these queens already in the supreme destination? They are Krishna's queens in Dvaraka. What more is there for them to achieve? They're in Krishna's presence. They're living with him. Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, he addresses this question. He says that the queens, they achieved a perfect state of prema-bhakti, pure loving devotion. They were already imbued with divine love. They had transcendental bodies of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. And this allowed them to participate and relish Krishna's intimate, sweet pastimes. But their love continued to mature. And it matures here into ecstasy of madness of pure love, bhavon mada or prema vaichitya, similar to the gopis' love when Krishna disappeared during the rasa dance. At that time, something very wonderful happens. So the gopis in Vrindavan, some of them are Nityasiddha, eternal gopis that have come with Krishna from the spiritual sky, but others of them are souls that are entering into the pastimes through the Boma Vrindavan Leela. And so these include the sages of Dandakaranya, who had amorous feeling for Ramachandra, but Ram said, I can't accept you. In the future, I will come as Krishna, and you can be my gopis. It includes the daughters of the demigods who were attracted to possibly Vamanadev, the Upendra, the younger brother of Indra. Then it included the daughters of Varuna, who were attracted to Matsya. And so like this, there were different souls throughout the universe who had some amorous feeling for Krishna and wanted his association. And they were able to enter into the Vrindavan Leela as gopis. Some gopis were eternal associates, some were souls just entering into the pastime. And so when Krishna played his flute at Vamsivat, and the gopis came running to be with him, some could go easily, the eternal gopis, others were stopped by their families. And Bhagavatam says that they gave up their bodies and then went to Krishna in their eternal Nitya Siddha forms. And so what I'm understanding from Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur's commentary here is that some of these queens are eternal associates. Some of these queens are also souls who are entering into that pastime. And there is a development or a progression of their ecstatic love. When those gopis could enter into the pastime, then they achieve it's prema-bhakti. But even in that, when Krishna disappears from them during the rasa dance, then their love becomes even more intensified. And so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that the love of these queens has also been matured into an ecstasy of pure love in madness, bhavon mada, similar to the gopis when Krishna disappeared during the rasa dance. During the rasa dance, the gopis, they addressed the forest creatures saying, "O Lata, O forest vine, have you seen Krishna? O Ashoka tree, have you seen the son of Maharaj Nanda?" They addressed the deer. They addressed different aspects of nature as well, hoping to find Nanda Nanda and Krishna. Similarly, here we see the queens of Lord Dwarkadish are also exhibiting similar symptoms, this prema-bhakti, and they are addressing different aspects of nature, hoping to be reunited with Krishna, although they are with him. So we can learn from this. We can strive to cultivate pure love for Krishna, just as his queens did. And more importantly, for us as followers of Lord Chaitanya, we are striving to cultivate love for Krishna in the mood of the Braja Basis, even more specifically in the mood of the maidservants of the gopis. And so we embrace the deep emotions of love and longing as part of this spiritual journey. We hope to serve Krishna with heartfelt devotion, finding his presence in our joys and in our moments of difficulty as well. Finding every opportunity to cultivate this love and come closer to Krishna, following in the example of those who love him most dearly and intimately. And that is the benefit of reading passages like this in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So let's conclude with a prayer that summarizes what we've been discussing to some extent. And in the meantime, if you have any questions or comments or reflections, type them in the chat and we can explore further. I apologize for the coughing here. Beloved Krishna, divine enchanter, we are awed by the intimate, joyous pastimes you share with your loving devotees. You are not a distant deity, isolated in the heavens, but one who engages in tender, playful relationships with those who adore you. As we reflect on the Mahishi Gita, we see the profound love of your queens, whose devotion transformed into the highest state of prema-bhakti. Their love, intense and pure, teaches us to embrace our own emotions of longing and joy as natural parts of our spiritual journey. O Krishna, let us serve you with heartfelt devotion, finding your presence in both our happiness and in our moments of yearning. May we learn from your queens to see you in every aspect of life. Guide us, Krishna, to embody kindness, love, and compassion in our dealings with each other, recognizing we are all your parts and parcels in your divine play. Let every emotion we feel be a step towards you, following the example of those who love you most deeply. So let me acknowledge some of you who joined as I was speaking. We have let's see. We have Vaishnav Das with us from Brisbane, Australia. Thank you for being here, Vaishnav. Shipon says, replying to Vaishnav Das, sending gratitude. Hare Krishna. We have Subalna, who says, Hare Krishna. Welcome, Subalna. Thank you for being here. Janavamata joining us from Dunedin in the South Island of New Zealand says, Gaur Bhaktivinda Ki Jai. We have Rashendra Sutrodar, who says, Hare Krishna. Thank you for being here with us, Rashendra. Krishangi, joining us from Sydney, Australia, says, Jaya Radhe. My Wife Sri Gandharvika says, Hari Bol, joining us from New York City. Welcome. Thank you for being here, joining us at the end of a busy workday, no doubt. Janavamata says to Sri Gandharvika, Radhe Radhe. Jai, loving dealings between devotees here on the chat. Wayne says, Hari Bol, all assembled devotees, pranam, dandavats, all glories to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. See you at Radha Gopinath Temple for your tour. Thank you, Wayne. So Wayne is referring to my upcoming visits to Australia. I'll be visiting Sydney. We'll be doing programs there. And so, yes, wonderful. Thank you, Wayne. Looking forward to seeing you. We have MD Akash who says, I'm coming to ISKCON. Hare Krishna, please help me. You're welcome, Akash. ISKCON temples all around the world. We hope to see you in one of those, at least. Janua Mata says, nectar, nectar, nectar. Thank you, as always. This is my breakfast. Satisfying, nourishing, sweet. So much to contemplate and relish. Did you say the sages had amorous feelings for Lord Ram? If so, how so? Thank you for that, Janava Mata. I like that idea, that this is your breakfast. When Srila Prabhupada was performing his final pastimes, then he wasn't eating food. And so there was concern among the devotees, Prabhupada, why aren't you eating? And he said that the kirtan is my food. I'm trying to remember the Sanskrit. He quoted something very beautiful. I think it's there in the song of Narottam Das Thakur. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pada Padma Koriyas. No. Anyway, he said this kirtan is my sustenance. This kirtan is my food. And so this katha, it nourishes and sustains us. Thank you for that, Janava Mata. Lovely, lovely, not just an insight, but an experience that you're having breakfast, you're listening and you're feeling, this is my breakfast. This is really nourishing me. Did I say the sages of Dandakaranya had amorous feelings for Ram? I did, yes. So when Ramachandra went to the Dandakaranya forest as an exile with Lakshman and Sita Devi, then the sages living in that forest, Ram was so beautiful, and they wanted to become his consorts. And so they approached Ram with that request. And Ram said, it's not possible because I am Ekanath. Ram's name is Ekanath. That means Lord of One. One wife, Eka Patni. Same thing gets told to Surpanaka, who approaches Ram with amorous feeling. And he says, no, I'm Ekanath. I have one wife. Ekapatni Vrata. One word. I give my word and it holds. It doesn't change. One arrow. I use one arrow to kill my enemy. So he's called Ekanath. On the other hand, Krishna is called Trayadish, the Lord of Three. Ram is the Lord of One. Krishna is the Lord of Three. Threefold bending form. He has three Purusha avatars. Karana Dakashai Vishnu, Garva Dakashai Vishnu, Kshira Dakashai Vishnu. He has, let's see, there are many nice things about him that relates to this three. Three Dhams, Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dvaraka for his pastimes. What else? There is a nice list of how Krishna is the Lord of Three. He's the Lord of Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. He transcends the three modes of material nature. and so on and so forth. So when the sages of Dandakaranya approached Ram, he said, no, not possible. I'm Ekanath. I only have one wife, but in the future I will appear as Krishna, and I can accept you then. Where is that mentioned? I can't remember. It's definitely mentioned in Shastra. It's mentioned in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita by Sanatan Goswami, and generally what he mentions there comes from the Bhagavatam. I can't remember the specific place, however. Also, when you visit the Kirchor Gopinath temple in Ramuna, which is in Orissa, the Bengal-Orissa border, there is the Kirchor Gopinath temple. So his original name is Gopinath. The deity is Gopinath. And when they tell the story of that deity, they say it's from Treta Yuga, from the pastimes of Lord Ram. They say that when the sages of Dandakaranya approached Ram, and he said it's not possible, but in the future I will appear as Krishna, then he took his arrow and carved the deity of Krishna as Gopinath and gave it to the sages to meditate upon. So there you are. Yeah, thank you for the question. Kirtida says, beautiful, grateful for your reflections. Thank you, Kirtida. You're always encouraging. Lalita Bella says, Hare Krishna. Welcome, Lalita. Thank you for joining us. Janavamata says, for your cough and mucus, take some elderberry and elderflower tea with a little honey and a squeeze of lemon. It works wonders for me. Praying for your good health and vitality. Thank you. Thank you. Grateful. Srikandarvika told me something similar today. So, yes, good advice. Shama Manjari says, thank you for the beautiful class. Prabhuji, Hari Bol. Thank you. Shama Manjari. Wayne says, so beautiful to hear Prabhupada's last thoughts on kirtan, eternal bliss. Yeah, thanks for that, Wayne. Where Prabhupada says, the kirtan is my food. The kirtan is my prasad. Janavamata says, thank you so much for a full and satisfying answer. 3 stars for you. It seems the sages were experiencing an eternal spiritual attraction, not one based on bodily attraction only. So that's, again, a question. We can say it's the nature of the soul, right? To be attracted to God. So they're seeing God. Ramachandra is very, very beautiful. His human-like form is most attractive. And so it is the soul's recognition of the eternal relationship with Krishna that has been ignited within their hearts on seeing Ramachandra. So bodily attraction in relation to Krishna is also transcendental, Krishna Ramachandra, because the Lord's form is Satchit Ananda, eternity, knowledge, and bliss. So even if the trigger is Krishna's rupa, Krishna's form, it is still transcendental. So it is the soul's nature to love God. It is the soul's nature to love God's form and to see that and to have an awakening of love in the heart. It is not a material thing. Even Kubja, so she had amorous feelings for Krishna, and they were initially lusty, but they're quickly purified. When she embraced Krishna, then she was purified of all lust. So even if it starts with some kind of material attraction, it is purified in the process of being with Krishna or being in Krishna's presence. So externally, it may be that it appears that the Krishna's form, it is the udipana, it is the trigger that inspires an awakening of desire in Kubja. or in the hearts of the sages, or Surpanaka as well, for that matter. So in the case of Surpanaka or Kubja, actually they're the same person. The initial desire is to possess rather than to serve. So that is mundane, and that is the conditioned nature. But because the object is Krishna, then there is a purification that takes place. And so we're told, Akama sarva kamova moksha kama udaridi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusha param. Whether one has desire or no desire, or whether one desires liberation, one should direct one's attention to Krishna through bhakti yoga, yajeta purusha param, and achieve the highest good, the highest value or destination. Thank you, Janavamata. Sunny Takar says, Hari Bol Prabhu. Thank you, Sunny. Ekendra, joining us from New Zealand, says, Krishna. Thanks, Ekendra. Great to have you with us. On Instagram, we have Nandu, the Siganamala, with us. And Nandu joins us from Mawulamba, from New Govardhan, Australia. We have Kirtan twins as well. Thank you for being here. Krishna Das, Shivanash with us. Dragbolt says, Prabhu, do you have a Facebook page? I do. Yeah, so look at the top of my Instagram profile. You'll see a link to my Facebook page, I believe. So find me there. Valmiki Kamjay, welcome. So back to Dragbolt, that's how a lot of people are joining this class as well. They're joining through Facebook, and that's how their questions are appearing on screen, because through the Facebook link, then the comments and questions, I can put them up on screen and comment. So yeah, find me there find my Facebook page, and you can join through that link as well. Let's see, Hungry Soul with us. Welcome, Sunil. Risky Pandit, okay. Radya 203, Goma 725, Thakur Anjan, and Myrindag. Let's see, Iskon Blessing is here. Vraj 22, 787 says, Har Har Mahadev, good mind of Hindu religion. Great. So glorification of Lord Shiva there from Vraj 22. Thank you for being here. Let's see. Ujjal Love, Full Gunny and Sadhana, Deepak Chaudhary, Cute Girl, Anjal 428. Let's see. Krishna Raj 108. Vikram says, Radhe Shyam Sundarji. Wonderful. Thank you, Vikram, for being here and bringing the holy name. Nimal Bendakar says, Radhe Radhe. Thank you for joining us. Okay. So thank you all for joining. Let's see. Last little check-in on this side. And may you deepen in your taste for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. May you deepen in your taste for chanting Krishna's holy name with attention and devotion. May you deepen in your appreciation for the holy Dham, the place where Krishna's pastimes are performed, Sri Vrindavan Dham, Sri Dvaraka Dham, Mathura Dham, Mayapur Dham, as well as where the deity is served regularly. May you deepen in your appreciation for the service to Sri Vigraha, to the deity of Krishna, and may you deepen in your appreciation for Vaishnavas. Take the opportunity to serve and love Vaishnavas at every chance that you get. It is by pleasing Vaishnavas that we please Krishna. It is by the mercy of Vaishnavas that we deepen in our relationship with Krishna. And as you practice your bhakti and as you deepen in bhakti, may your heart be softened with compassion that drives you to share the treasures of bhakti far and wide with others. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktarinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi